everybody. Today's deep dive is going to be really interesting. We're going to be looking at a future scenario called eco-tech overload.
Oh.
And basically, it's exploring, like, where's the line between sustainability and control, and how blurry can that get? We have a few different sources that we're going to look at today to kind of unpack all this stuff.
Yeah.
One of them is like a fictional account of someone living in this world.
Oh, cool.
So you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So Ecotech Overload looks at what happens when, like, our homes, our clothes, and even, like, social media are optimized for, like, maximum eco-efficiency and authenticity.
Yeah, makes sense.
And we're going to see how all these systems that were designed to make our lives better might actually completely backfire and create, like, a whole new set of problems for everybody.
Right. Well, it's a thought experiment that takes those trends we see today in technology and in environmentalism and pushes them to, like, their logical extremes. And
Yeah.
some of it's funny, but then you step back and you're like, wait a minute, could this actually happen?
Yeah, totally. Okay, so one of the things that they look at is this idea of the smart home, but, like, taken to a whole other level. We've got some articles here, and they describe homes that are so intelligent, they basically become like self-governing entities. Like, they dictate everything that you do in your life.
No.
Everything from the temperature to your diet to, like, everything.
That's a little scary.
Yeah, so, okay, just imagine this. You're getting ready for work, and you go to the fridge, right? And you open it up, and you're, like, reaching for the yogurt, and then the fridge, like, gives you the side eye because you're going for that second yogurt and reminds you that your breakfast carbon score is, like, in the red zone.
Oh my gosh.
You know.
I mean, that's an example of how, like, our desire for sustainability taken to an extreme can actually become pretty controlling, right? The technology that's meant to help us make better choices ends up making the choices for us.
Yeah, and it's not just the fridge, right? Like, we've got descriptions of, like, stoves that refuse to cook anything but plant-based meals. Or your thermostat is, like, battling with your sweater over what temperature your body should be
Oh my goodness.
to use the least amount of energy.
So the question is, like, how much are we really willing to give up control over our own homes and lives in the name of sustainability or efficiency?
Right. Like, it's a slippery slope for sure. But let's step out of the kitchen for a second.
Okay.
And imagine getting dressed in this world.
Okay.
So in this world, clothing isn't just about style anymore, but, like, broadcasting how eco-friendly you are.
Yeah.
Like, whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
And there's this article we have here about an AI app called Eco Array, and it's like your personal fashion stylist, but it selects your outfit based on, like, sustainability scores and your biometrics and even pollution levels.
I mean, could you imagine having your entire wardrobe curated by an app that, like, prioritizes eco-friendliness over your own sense of style?
Yeah. I'm cringing just thinking about it. Like, I would show up to a client meeting looking like a total mess, you know?
Yeah.
Because I have to wear, like, this burlap sack dress that had the best sustainability rating.
Yeah. And then on top of that, we have all these articles about these trends like eco-shaming, where people are literally judged for what they're wearing and
Yeah.
whether or not it's sustainable.
Oh, totally. And then, like, the whole biodegradable materials thing,
Oh, yeah.
which sounds great in theory,
Right.
but, like, imagine your shoes falling apart on your feet
Oh.
because they exceeded their wear-by date.
Oh, no. I mean, this is showing a deeper challenge here. How do you create materials and systems that are truly sustainable but don't sacrifice functionality or,
Yeah.
create a bunch of other unintended consequences?
Totally.
Well-
So, okay, we got our homes telling us what to eat and our clothes telling us what to wear, but it doesn't stop there.
Uh-oh.
This future scenario also takes a look at the world of social media and, like, how the pressure for authenticity might get, like, super amplified.
Right. Well, and it's interesting because one of the sources describes this idea of authenticity audits where AI algorithms are scanning all your posts and they're looking for things that seem too perfect, right?
Oh, wow.
So if it's too curated, they flag it.
Okay, so if my vacation pictures look too good,
Yeah.
or if I post pictures of dinner and it looks like too professional,
Yeah.
then I get dinged for being inauthentic.
Yeah. Because it reflects that societal anxiety we have about presenting this perfect image online.
Yeah.
But in this scenario, in the future, that anxiety is heightened by the constant scrutiny of these algorithms.
Oh my gosh. So it's like, it's creating this impossibly high standard that nobody can possibly achieve, right?
Right. Well, and what's interesting too is like some of the sources talk about how influencers are intentional, like messing up their photos or they're staging these candid moments or
Oh, wow.
even like fabricating these mini disasters just to look more relatable.
Oh my gosh. That's
No.
so crazy.
It really makes you wonder, Is technology designed to connect us? Or is it actually pushing us further apart by creating this distorted sense of reality?
Totally. So, to really understand how all this plays out in daily life, the sources introduce us to this woman named Emma who lives in this world of like hyper-optimized ecotech. And we're going to kind of follow her throughout this deep dive and see what it's really like to navigate this world.
Yeah, the Emma example is like a narrative device that grounds these theoretical concepts in the lived experience of an individual, and that makes the potential consequences much more tangible and relatable.
Okay, so are you ready to step into Emma's shoes and see what a typical day in this future world might look like?
Absolutely, let's do it. So we're stepping into Emma's world, and we're going to start with her morning routine. The source material makes it seem pretty chaotic.
Oh no.
So imagine waking up not to like birds chirping or an alarm, but to all your devices talking to you at once, giving you advice.
What kind of advice?
Well, so like Emma's smart coffee mug is telling her to drink herbal tea instead to like, reduce her carbon footprint.
Okay.
But then her smartwatch is telling her she needs coffee to be productive for the day.
Oh, so it's like her devices are arguing over her head.
Yeah, it's like they're having a philosophical debate about the ethics of caffeine.
That's crazy. It seems like even simple decisions become like super overwhelming in this world.
Right, and then on top of that, there's this Eco Array app. Remember, that's the one that picks out your clothes for you.
Right.
Well, it's picked out this cactus fiber pantsuit for Emma because it's supposed to be like, really good for the environment.
Okay.
But the problem is she has this big presentation with important clients.
Oh man. So like, you know, functionality and looking professional take a back seat to sustainability.
Exactly. And just as she's about to leave, her smart fridge goes off and it's like warning her that her breakfast carbon score is too high.
It's kind of funny to think about a fridge judging what you eat for breakfast. But it does make you think about how this kind of constant monitoring could make you really anxious.
Yeah, it's like you can't even enjoy a simple meal without feeling like you're failing some kind of test.
So it seems like the sources are really emphasizing how everyday life is just subject to all this optimization.
Yeah.
So Emma finally escapes the judgment of her smart home and heads to the office.
Okay.
Hopefully it's a little better there.
Well, not really. The office is just as optimized, but not in a way that's good for anyone. The sources describe how the thermostat is set to this eco default mode that's supposed to simulate natural weather patterns.
Oh. So instead of a nice consistent temperature, she has to deal with like crazy fluctuations all day long.
Yeah, and the sources say it can be up to a 5-degree difference.
That sounds more like a survival challenge than an office.
And then it gets worse because it's sunlight simulation day, which means they dim all the lights to save energy.
But won't that make it hard to see and get work done?
Exactly. They say it's supposed to be good for well-being, but everyone just ends up feeling gloomy.
So here's Emma, wearing this outfit that she hates, shivering in her office, and probably hungry from her low-carbon breakfast.
Yeah, there's definitely a pattern here. It's like in this attempt to create a perfect sustainable world, we end up sacrificing basic comfort and common sense.
And she's surrounded by her colleagues, all wearing their own algorithmically chosen outfits.
Right, it's like individual expression is being replaced by this weird kind of eco-conformity.
Even though this is like a futuristic scenario, it kind of reflects what we're already seeing today. With this pressure to present this perfect image on social media or buy all the latest eco-gadgets.
Yeah, you're right. The ecotech overload scenario is obviously satire, but it does reflect some of the real anxieties and trends that we're seeing right now.
So we've seen Emma struggle through her morning routine and the crazy office environment. So hopefully she can get some relief on social media.
Well, about that.
Okay, so Emma's had a long day. She's dealt with the smart home and the crazy office. Now she's looking for a little escape on social media.
Right, but even social media has been taken over by these algorithms. Remember those authenticity audits we were talking about?
Yeah, so does that mean like she posts a selfie and immediately gets flagged for something?
Pretty much.
Hmm.
The sources describe how she posts this selfie in her apartment, which is, perfectly organized and minimalist.
Okay.
And the algorithms flag it for being like too perfect and basically accuse her of creating a fake image.
Oh, wow. That's so ironic. It's like she's surrounded by all this technology that's supposed to promote authenticity, but then she gets penalized for looking too put together.
It shows just how messed up things can get when algorithms are trying to define something as complex as authenticity.
Right. Like who gets to decide what's real and what's fake anyway?
Exactly. And it
Yeah.
makes you wonder if all this pressure to be authentic is actually making us less genuine.
Yeah, like we're so worried about appearing real, that we lose sight of what actually matters.
The sources talk about how this could lead to a kind of like collective self-consciousness where everyone is so busy performing authenticity that they forget to actually connect with each other.
So it's like everyone's trying so hard to be relatable that they all end up looking exactly the same.
Right. And that brings us back to this idea of balance, which is something we've been talking about a lot today. It's about finding that sweet spot between using technology and preserving our human values.
Yeah, like our individuality and our freedom to be ourselves without being judged by an algorithm.
This whole ecotech overload scenario really shows how important it is to question our assumptions about technology.
Right. Like, we often think that progress is always good, but sometimes it can lead to unintended consequences.
It's a reminder that we need to be more thoughtful about the technology we use and how we use it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this thought. We've talked about a lot of potential problems, but it's important to remember that the future isn't set in stone.
We still have the power to shape the future we want and to decide what role technology will play in our lives.
It's up to us to make sure that technology serves us, not the other way around.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, I'm glad we could explore these ideas together. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.